Hi, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to continue working on using some properties and methods basically of the string objects. So I've got my page set up here. A person can enter in an email address, and we do get some basic stats. And now that we've got these basic stats about the email address, we can run an if statement, or a series of if statements, to check for some things to see if it's in the normal layout of an email address. And once again, this is not the most efficient way really to validate an email address, but it gives us good practice working with some string objects. So I'll just jump over to my editor, and this is what we have so far. We've got some variables that are getting pieces of information. There is the length object, the length property, so we can find out how long the particular email address entered is. And then we also have a couple of methods. Index of to find the location of the first @ symbol. Last indexed of to find the location of the last dot, and a substring in order to find a string within a string. In this case, I want to find a substring that starts at the location of the last dot. And by the way, you can also, let's say I was looking for the second @ symbol, assuming that was realistic, and there's another argument you could put into this method. So you could do just something like a (2) or something like that to find the second one. So I've got the first @ symbol, the last dot, and a substring in order to get the email. So let's go ahead and run a series of if statements. And I'm going to put my if statements after my feedback variable append statements. Okay. So I created this feedback variable up at the very beginning. Here it is, variable feedback equals nothing. And the feedback variable keeps getting appended with new information. So now I'm going to run an if statement. If, and then in parentheses I'm going to have the logical test, the thing I want to test for, or things I want to test for in this example. I'm going to determine if the @ position, remember I have a variable called @POS, @position. If my @position is less than 1, or my @dot is less than 1. So let's think about this one for a second. If there is no @ symbol or no dot used, then the position is going to be a -1. Okay, so let's try this out. If I just have some random text and submit, notice the @ symbol is position -1 and the dot is position -1. Now if you start off a string with one of those characteristics, also dot and then some information and submit, notice that my last dot is located at position 0. If I start off with an @ symbol, text, and then a dot, submit, my @ symbol is at position 0. So the first position is position 0. And an email address isn't going to start with an @ symbol, and it's not going to start with a dot. And it has to have those. So basically I'm looking to see is if that @ symbol is greater than 0, or greater than 1 for that matter. So if it's less than 1, then it's either 0 at the very beginning, or it's -1, meaning it doesn't exist at all. If either of these two occurrences are true, hence the OR statement, if either of those are true, then I'm going to append my feedback statement with a plus equals. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and create a little statement here, a little HTML, strong. Let's see, we'll do that and put in the message, email is not valid. There we go. And I'll just go ahead and close that. So if my @ position is either not there or at the very beginning, or my @ symbol, my dot is not there at the very beginning, then I'm also going to be displaying this particular message here. Email is not valid. I'm going to continue with this a little bit. Else if. Okay, so I'm going to do another if statement. So basically, if this first thing is true, then this is what happens. If it's not true, it'll move on to the else if. Else if my @ position is greater than my last dot. So if my @ symbol is after my last dot, that's a problem too, because that last dot should be after the @ symbol. So if my @ symbol position is greater than my last dot position, then we have a problem again. So I think I'll just repeat this particular statement here. Then certainly the email is not valid. Okay, and we'll finish this off with an else. Now with an else, you don't need a logical test. It's the last thing that's going to occur, and I'll simply put in, well, let me just go ahead and copy this one. But this one's going to be valid, so I'll go ahead and put in, let's see, a color, a green shade, and I'll put in email is valid. Or email is okay, so it really stands out to us. So let's kind of give this a once over here. If my @ symbol or my dot positions are less than 1, then the email is not valid. If that's okay, is the @ position greater than the dot position? If not, or if that's true, if my @ symbol is after my last dot, then that's also not valid. And if neither of these first two statements are true, then things must be doing pretty well, so we'll just display messages okay. So let's go ahead and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and save, jump back over to my browser, which is Chrome, and refresh. And I'll just type in some random text, click submit, and of course my @ symbol and dot are not there, so email is not valid. If I do something like me at sitecom, leave the dot out, for instance, submit, nope, that's not a valid email address. But of course me at site.com, that email is okay. All right, so basically we're getting some string information from a text box. We're kind of parsing it a little bit here, getting some, where's the @ symbol, where's the dot, are they in the right location? And based on where these locations should be, we're providing some feedback to the user that, hey, this email is going to at least work for us. It's in a good format.